Hey everybody, what's going on? Rob Cesternino back in the studio for our exit interview today. And I just got back from a whirlwind trip to San Francisco where we had the all-time record-setting crowd for an RHAP live show. About 1,100 people were with us in San Francisco to watch this episode where we saw Nate Moore voted out of the game, and he's going to join us for our exit interview. We're recording this on Friday that Nate is on location shooting maybe a future blockbuster film. Who knows? But Nate is on location, and it's a little bit of a desolate location. And so the internet connectivity is going to be a little bit subpar. And so I do apologize about that. Nate and I both did our best to bring you this conversation. So please forgive us for the audio not being as pristine as it typically is here on the exit interview, but we appreciate Nate making the effort. And so here is my conversation with Nate. Hey, Nate, what's going on? Rob Cesternino here for RHAP. Very sad to see you go out from the game. I thought you were in such a good spot and excited to get the chance to talk to you today. So let me just ask you, did you feel like that night that the vibe was off?
A little bit, a little bit. We knew, by we, I mean me, Rizzo, Sophie, and Savannah knew there was a chance that Sage and Juwan were not with us. We assumed Alex was not going to vote for us. He was being a little cagey all day, but we figured that it made more sense to them to stick with a six than a seven, especially when that seven was made up of three different groups of people, right? Like Alex and four old Hina, and that, like, it just didn't seem to make sense. But we also knew that Shannon, I think, unintentionally had sort of burned us. So we were all day trying to do damage control between Sage and Juwan to get him back on side. I thought we were going to skate through, and obviously we did not. But something was up. You know, you see Juwan at that tribal, and he's a little bit more outspoken than he usually is, and you go, something's up.
How did you feel like that Shannon inadvertently burned you guys?
When we were at Old Hina, what was interesting is because we never went to tribal, those tribal lines were never solidified. And as much as I think Sage and Juwan felt like they may not have been super integrated into the group, they didn't know for sure there was a core four alliance.
Mhm.
And I think you can see it even after the first tribe swap, that Juwan still felt like he was with Savannah, Rizzo, and I. What we didn't know was A, how fractured Sage and Shannon's alliance became when they went to Hina, and that I've since learned that Shannon told Juwan and Sage that they were indeed on the bottom at Uli. And so when the merge happened, we realized pretty quickly, because I had a conversation with Sage, that Shannon maybe told more than she needed to.
Mhm.
We knew we had a lot of repair to do. We just thought we had done the repair by the time we got to tribal, and it turned out we hadn't.
Nate, it seemed like that your story was about somebody who was doing their best to try to fit in with this younger generation of survivor players. Did that feel like that's what your story was while you were out on the island?
Yes. Yes. And I liked, let me say this, like everybody on Uli, they're all great people. When I got off the boat and we talked about who we were and our ages, I realized the next oldest person was Savannah, who's 16 years younger than me. Nobody was married, nobody had kids, nobody had a career in the way you think about careers. Obviously, I didn't say what I did, but I realized there were just not a lot of touchstones that were going to be similar. I also am not online, like I don't have TikTok, I don't have any of that. So a lot of just the things that, you have to talk about something during the day. I just didn't have those same touch points. And they didn't isolate me. They weren't dicks about it. I was just like, oh, I don't really have a partner in crime. And I felt it.
Yeah. But it seemed like, at least to us, that you navigated that particularly well. Did you feel that while you were out there?
I did. And I tried my best to hold my tongue. If I was like, this is ridiculous, I just go, not for now. And I was able to find, touch points individually. Like Rizzo and I love basketball. That's great. I can talk about basketball all day. Savannah and I had a very similar upbringings to some extent. Even Shannon and I really got on. It was just when there are big group conversations about things literally like that are on TikTok that I've never seen. There's a lot of me, probably footage of me going, I'll go get the firewood because I don't have anything to add. I'm just sort of lost. And I don't want to seem like the grumpy guy, so maybe I'll just be the caretaker, the provider, you know?
The way that this all unfolded, it seemed like that there's not much that you could have done differently. But do you see something that you think about that, like, oh, I wish I would have handled this differently?
There are two things that come to mind, and I'm not sure it would have changed it. The two things that come to mind, one, I wonder if we would have targeted Dina instead of Steven, if Sage and Jawan think differently. Because I didn't realize how tight, and you saw in the episode, how quickly they had bonded with Steven specifically. Jawan never Christina, and in fact, which is not on the show. Juwan called Uncle Jeff first, but Christina said it at every mat, at every challenge, and Juwan kind of was pissed at her just from afar. He was like, "I hate that Christina. She's taking my bit." So
Yeah.
I think if we would have just been like, "Hey, Christina," and not the guy I didn't know you had a man crush on, that might have been different. The other thing that is not shown is I went to MC post merge and said we should team up because I knew and she knew we'd both be the physical threats. And I told her she didn't have to play her idol, although she did. And I was honest with her up to the point of who we were voting for. And I told her we were voting for Christina because I didn't want her to put player idol for Steve if in case, she decided she wasn't with me. The problem was she believed that I wanted to work with her until I had to lie to her. And I didn't know that Sage and Juwan had already told them we were voting for Steven. So then she thought my entire spiel was a lie. The truth for them the heartbeat. Uh, but because I couldn't be completely honest with her, she didn't trust me. And so I think if I would have told her, maybe if I would have told her Steven, if it was Steven, or if I would have told Sage and Juwan it's Christina, maybe we have a shot to make it just through that vote. Because I knew if we could just get through that pinch point, we had a chance to go to final six.
Okay. Nate, did you get any interesting reactions from your castmates when they found out about your secret identity? And not just that you're a stay-at-home dad.
Uh, I mean, I think people were surprised. Um, for as much as they talked about Marvel movies, which they talked about it a lot, even Jawan and Rizzo would talk about it at Uli. Um, at some point, Rob, like the game's over. And it's sort of like, oh, that's cool. But I think it would have been cooler if I would have done it in the game, to be quite honest. Because everybody's so shell-shocked from being out of the game anyway. Any new information is not that cool.
Mhm.
Um, so I think people were surprised, but I don't think it didn't blow their hair back in a cool way.
Yeah. Have you had any second thoughts about what might have been different if you would have told them in the game?
Yes, totally. I didn't tell them because I did not think anybody would give me $1 million.
Yeah.
But as you know, you got to get to the end. And like there's a chance that if I told them that up front, we do have more touch points and we do have more in common. And part of why I also think I struggled to connect with people is I was holding such a big part of my life back. I just wasn't talking about literally hours and months and years that I had spent in the last 20 years of what I was doing. So I didn't have great stories because a lot of my great stories are on set or, doing these great movies. And so I do think it was a little bit of a shooting myself in the foot by not being honest. Again, who knows? Maybe they target me first. I don't know, but I do think about it for sure.
Nate, who was your tightest ally while you were out there?
That's a great question. I think it was Rizzo or Savannah. That's the problem. Is I don't think I had like a number one. I think ultimately Rizzo and Savannah were each other's tightest ally. And I certainly felt that. And when we merged the first time and met Sophie, who I also love,
Hmm.
they became a really cool triangle of again, similar age, a similar liked kind of people. And I think they all like me and we're all, we're good. But I didn't have that like tight partner who was like, hey, we'll never vote for each other. I wouldn't have voted for those people, but it wasn't it was I needed a partner in crime, to be quite honest.
Did the relationship that you seemingly made with MC when you went on the journey, did you feel like that had paid any dividends once you got to the merge?
Um, not as much as I wanted it to. I really did, partially because she's such a great competitor. I wanted to work with MC really bad. And when I went on that journey that I did not want to go on, but I went on it to keep Jason from going, when I saw her in the next bar, the good news is I can meet this person who I've wanted to work with and try to build a bond. And I tried to get her to talk that entire challenge because I was like, this is the reason I'm here. But when we merged, it was, again, you know this, like there's so many people having so many conversations and so much has happened in a very condensed period of time. It wasn't well, I didn't make the time to pull her aside enough and really bond. And she, which I didn't know at the time, was preoccupied with the Burr advantage and getting her vote back. And so she was very standoffish. Again, in a way that prevented us from really bonding. If we had another night, do I think I could have done more? Maybe, but certainly I wanted that to be a real.
Nate, I just want to say you did a great
Uh,
job of representing for you and I are I'm pretty close to the same age. And I just want to say you did a great job from my perspective while you were out there.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
It was again, I'm lucky I got to play, and I don't regret it.
How was the reaction from your kids?
They they couldn't bring themselves to watch after the third episode because it was too stressful. Even though they knew I was
They
fine,
didn't say it was
they
cringe though, right?
they didn't say it was cringe. They're not old enough. My oldest is 8. She doesn't know what cringe is yet. But no,
Okay.
they've tapped out.
You're
So
blessed. Yes.
exactly,
All right.
exactly.
Well, Nate, thank you for making some time while you're on location to talk to us. Really appreciate it. And all the best outside Survivor, okay? This is RHAP. We know reality TV.